I will tell you that there, even after the report was issued, there was, one, God rest his soul, Don Beatty. As soon as the meeting was over, he was right up here talking to Jim Kirtland and vehemently telling him that his numbers were wrong. There was a distrust in the numbers. I don't know who's right. I know what the report said. Don would send me his numbers, so I know what Don's numbers said. And they weren't the same. Where they got them from and how they used them. But he was not happy because the report, he didn't trust the numbers. He thought it should be different. Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name and town for the record, please.
Lisa Woodring from Long Valley. Thank you for coming, Mr. Calder.
Okay.
I just have a question about, one of the board members asked you about the need for some kind of impact study. And I believe you answered there's no need for an impact study to put this on the ballot.
I have not found anything in statute or code, or even some of the advisory documents that the Department of Education has put out over the years. They've put out a lot of them. I know of nothing in there that would require an impact study.
Okay.
That being said, with the, how can I say this nicely? With the increased power that has been placed in the office of the Executive County Superintendent, and with the, particularly in the new school funding formula, there's statute 18A7F-60, which says that the commissioner can take any affirmative action she deems necessary for the effective and efficient expenditure of funds. Could an Executive County Sup, in the guise of affecting an effective and efficient expenditure of funds, say, I'd like a study done before you put it before the vote? I don't think they would. I don't think, and there's only, what, 9 Executive County Sups left now, and they're all doing double and triple duty. I don't think they would do that, but could they flex the muscle and ask for that? That's possible. But I don't know if any statutory underpinning would require that.
Okay. The problem is, though, that if there's no impact study done, or I guess I'm feeling like I don't know what the numbers are. I haven't heard.
Nor do I.
I haven't heard consistent numbers from any source. When you put a referendum, I mean, all the referendums that I've ever seen on either a school ballot or a general election ballot have had an explanation paragraph where it lists, this is what it means to vote yes on something. This is what it means if you vote it down. This is how you're going to be impacted. And I don't know, do we have those numbers? Does anybody know how it's going to impact us, each municipality? Because on the surface, I think we can all kind of assume that Washington Township would be the losers right off the bat. However, I think that there are subtleties. I think something was brought up at the last meeting about the township versus the borough. They're regionalized. What could that mean if they deregionalize their K-8? I mean, I think it's a really complicated process.
Well,
so I haven't heard any good numbers. So if there's no impact study, how are we going to find out when it's put on the ballot how it's going to impact us? And don't we need that explanation on the ballot? Maybe not. Maybe the answer is no. But I can't imagine voting for something if I don't know how it's going to impact it. What I would say is the interpretive statement that I've seen generally says, and I've seen them in a couple of ballots, generally says what that effect will be. The cost apportionment question is in many ways a simpler question than a dissolution or a withdrawal. Yeah, I wasn't talking about dissolution. I was talking about simple tax allocation and how that's going to impact Washington Township, me, versus giving municipalities how that occurs and consistent with that.
I can't speak to that. I don't know what the data may say, but what I would say is in terms of putting that interpretive statement out, if you would want to include in there what the impact would be. Now, you raise again the issue of consistent data. Assuming the data is accurate, including if something everybody can agree to, that would be something in the statement. Not in every, it hasn't been included in every interpretive statement of the cost apportionment change that I've seen. I mean, I printed out today a couple of sample ballots from Central Regional and from West Windsor Plainsboro. Their interpretive statement did not get into the nitty-gritty of the change in cost apportionment tax levy for each structure. They simply put forth the question of changing from one to the other. So it really lies in two folks. One, the board generally in terms of what they put forward as a sample ballot question, and two, what the county clerk will accept as an interpretive statement. And I've seen some proposed ones. I've seen the one from Pascack Valley, which was pretty explanatory, pretty detailed. And I've also seen the ones from Central Regional, Westwoods, and Plainsboro, which were relatively simple.
Which one do you think has a better chance of? I mean, does it matter if the interpretive statement is understandable and clear and has data, do you think, or?
You're talking to a data person. I like data. So me personally, I'd like data. One of the things, when I left teaching in 1986, which means I'm old, I still coach recreational sports. I still coach American Legion baseball. And what I've seen over the years is with student athletes, I've seen a greater difficulty in being able to focus for long periods of time on a particular item. I don't know if it's the Sesame Street generation where we're used to seeing information in 15-second snippets and then moving on to the next one, or all the electronic stuff. So I think there are a lot of folks out there who like a simpler question and just say, well, tell me what it is. We're going to do it on pupil counts? Okay, that's good. I think that's a better idea. Without getting into the minutia of the detail. Me, I like to dive into the numbers. What does this mean? What does that mean? What is this? What is that? That's me. But there are some folks out there who like it simple. So you ask me which one is better. Me personally, I like the detail. That's me. Yes.
Mike, John Noddy, Washington Township. If you were going to put this question on the ballot, what information, how would you go about it, that you needed to gather that when you make a decision as a board, legally, you're covering yourself?
Covering yourself meaning being able to communicate that you had the best information in hand to make that determination?
Exactly, because they will be sitting there, and everybody else will be gone, when the people come back and say, this is not what you told me. Okay? And in the past, the board has made very good educated decisions by making sure they had enough information. So I'm curious, what process would you go through?
I'd want to look at there's a new equalized valuation table that comes out every October. So I would want the freshest data from October. I would want to use that. We have new pupil counts that will give us the apportionment from the regional to the constituent. I'd want those numbers as best as I could do. And then I would also, given the fact that we know that if we change, we're looking at 10 years before we can change again, unless we get that equalized valuation or pupil count fluctuation. So I want to know my demographics. I want to know what the folks are projecting our enrollments to be in future years, and to the extent that you can, what the projections are, if you can do that. And I'm not a demographer. I don't know how you do that with equalized valuation. I want to be able to compare, what is this going to look like 3 years from now? Is it going to be the same, or the proportion is going to be the same? It's easy to take this year's numbers and say, if it were this year, we have these number of pupils, we have this equalized valuation, this would be the comparison for this year. Me, I want to know what it's going to look like 5 years from now. Because housing, is it turning over? Are more new families moving in? Are people leaving because they're retiring, they're going somewhere else? Are we getting young people in? Are those numbers going to change? I don't know the answer to that, but I'd like to know. So I can then make a good decision as to whether it's, and given having been here enough times, I'd really like to know if, and maybe there isn't, I'd like to know if there's some hybrid of the two. that could come up with something in the middle that would be workable.
Would you go through those numbers yourself, or would you hire somebody? to investigate this, since you're going to be on the hook.
My answer to that would be, it generally would depend on what I knew for the expertise to be around the table. Unless I had some really, really expert people that knew this stuff cold, I probably would want somebody to come in who was an expert in that I can then say, we hired this person who's an expert at it. I mean, I don't know if there's somebody in administration that's that good at it. I don't know. I want somebody who's good, because this is a long-term, 10-year type decision. So I want to get something that's going to work for everybody. I saw a hand over here, yes.
Hi, Cecilia Donato from Mendon Township. The current proposals that you said were in the House and the Senate, who introduced those and where are they now?
They are sitting in committee. A1327 is in the Assembly. That was proposed by David Wolf and James Hosapple, who were from Monmouth and Ocean. Isn't that where Central Regional is? And
I'm sorry, David Wolf and who?
David Wolf, W-O-L-F-E, and James Hosapple, H-O-L-Z-A-P-F-E-L. That's Assembly Bill 1327. It was introduced on January 12, 2010, referred to the Assembly Ed Committee where it sits. And that's the Assembly version of the bill that would eliminate the overall vote in a regional or a dissolution. On the Senate side, the person who introduced it was Andrew Ciesla, also from Monmouth and Ocean. I think we have a pattern here. And it's S1638. And they are companion bills